This video is sponsored by Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve is an adult store giant that has been around for over 4 decades that will undoubtedly help you bring the heat. Adam and Eve is hooking you up with discount code HONEST, which will provide 50% off one item plus free shipping in the US and Canada. Some exclusions may apply. They have a 90-day no-hassle return, 24/7 customer service, no inconveniences, and a lot of hot and steamy options. Use code HONEST. After a whirlwind of antics, Doja Cat has released her 4th album. Fronted by a mix of polarizing and middle-of-the-road releases, it wasn't exactly clear what to expect going into this record. The biggest single from the album, Paint the Town Red, carried by a Dionne Warwick sample, sounded like it could have easily fit on either one of her last 2 records, Hot Pink and Planet Her. The 2 releases which Doja Cat wrote off as cash grabs and made fun of her audience for enjoying those records, while other singles like The Playful Demon saw Doja immersing herself into Baby Keem's style. The teaser to the entire era, funnily titled Attention, saw Doja tapping into some 90s boom bap that is somewhat reminiscent of Digital Planets. The song ended up alright, and a stronger chorus could have potentially taken it over the edge. It read more like a statement piece though, instead of a radio song. Doja noticeably took on a darker image to promote this record that dealt with satanic imagery as well as gore in some instances. A far cry from her pseudo-playful alien image for Planet Her. It caused a bit of controversy, but to me it honestly just read like a desperate attempt at rage bait. I feel like a heavy and edgy visual aesthetic is only truly impactful when the message or music is really grasping at something more insightful or real. And even if it's just for the sake of pushing buttons, there sure better be an immaculate song to help stick the landing. But I got none of that from the singles. As I've said previously, there seems to be some kind of small trend in popular music where some pop artists are turning to satanic or dark imagery as a crutch to make up for lack of interesting music or ideas, because they know that imagery will spark the conversation instead. But unless you have something to really say, like for example Lil Nas X's campy manifesto on homosexuality and religion, it comes up extremely empty. And even then, after you do it once, it starts to wear off, which is why when Lil Nas X tried to call upon the same controversy recently just for the sake of it, instead of having a legit message behind it, no one paid attention, because we've already been there, we've already done that. Besides the imagery, all the lead-ups to the album had one thing in common, and that's that they all featured Doja going off on her supposed haters. Some of her angst is perfectly aimed, like at people who are upset that she cut her hair on Attention. While others like Paint the Town Red, which seemingly addresses her whole Twitter rant about cash grabs leading up to this album, is eye-roll inducing. Unfortunately, these perspectives are about as deep as the album dives. It's as shallow as a sidewalk puddle. There are, however, a few great executions of these perspectives. Fuck the Girls, or FTG, is an immediate standout, with Doja revisiting her views on womanhood and misogyny in a more abrasive way than her 2021 song Woman, over some really bouncy boom bap in a chant-led chorus. It's one of the catchiest and most gratifying songs on the record, even if Doja trying to paint herself as a martyr on the track is a little side-eye inducing. Meanwhile, the following track, Ouchie, sounds like a 2000s Missy Elliott exclusive, where Doja seemingly takes aim at someone while referencing fellow female rapper Remy Ma. You full of Remy, now your face look tired, used to be the baby Ma, you marred it now. It's a shame that this song is basically 2 minutes long, because it's a true highlight and shows what a proficient hip-hop centered artist Doja could be if she stuck with a direction that suited her more. On 97, Doja talks about how little she cares about her haters, while responding to the things she's read about herself on the internet. She also further addresses her controversy saying, "And that's a rating, that's some hating, that's engagement I could use. And I could teach y'all how to do this, but I'd rather much be cruising." She also has some lame lines on this record, like when she says, "They ain't even ready spaghetti, baby, they sauceless." Meanwhile, Gun and Go Off both sound like cash grab era Doja throwaways. When Doja isn't going off on her haters, the record only slightly deviates to a different subject when she's talking about love. Like on Agora Hills, which samples the R&B classic All I Do Is Think of You by Troop, where Doja is trading off verses in a Valley Girl voice and vocal fry. Sounds like an anthem made for e-girls and their incel boyfriends. It's a smooth song, it's cute and perfectly fine filler. On the latter half of the record, you get some jazz rap and neo-soul inspired beats, which calls to mind artists like Erykah Badu. Sonically, Can't Wait is undoubtedly the best love song on the album, a fine balance of R&B and rap, and one of the highlights. Skull and Bones sonically recalls the work of Kendrick Lamar, where Doja's going off on her haters once again, with a misplaced chorus that sounds like it was meant to lead into something more insightful. But it's just the same exact thing. Doja is very repetitive on this album, only succeeding on compelling narratives on a few of the songs. I think her leaning into boom bap only highlights her shortcomings as a lyricist, because Doja's flows and cadence generally take precedent over her lyrics, but when she employs boom bap throughout the record, her lyrics are forced to take center stage. And some of these instrumentals are absolutely gorgeous like Skull and Bones, but they're not given the best treatment. She's not a wordsmith, but she has a lot of personality. Scarlett can feel like a drag. On one hand, I think the few highlights from this record are some of the best of her career, but the album as a whole doesn't have many great moments. Sonically, it's split between boom bap and her cash grab era sound. Ultimately, I think it takes itself too seriously and is too concerned trying to convince the world that Doja is carefree and elevated from the drama that surrounds her, and might I add that she had a heavy hand in stirring herself. It's just not that interesting to center a whole album around, especially when there's no self-awareness in any of it, and the perspectives take nearly identical aim from song to song. Scarlett comes across as an album made by the controversy for the controversy, and in the midst of trying to revamp her image, Doja Cat loses sight of what made her enjoyable.